All right, and welcome back to Act Now for Peel. As we were heading to the break, Mark was just telling us a story that was emotional to him to deal with, and we're also going to get into a little bit of a discussion. We know that Peel region right now in terms of health and social services is receiving 1/3 to 1/2 the average that other communities in Ontario are receiving, and this has had a large impact. Despite this, we've probably seen more collaboration in our region, and we've seen certainly the regional government and the municipal governments within Peel region do what they can to try and step up and make the difference, as well as organizations like United Way. But at $366 million, that's a massive undertaking for any one nonprofit organization such as United Way, or for the property taxpayer to fully pick up. But I was just asking Mark before we went to break, I've been to the William G. Davis Center for Families, and I saw some exciting projects that you were planning to bring forward, a kitchen downstairs, perhaps involving the Peel Regional Police into the Safe Center. Can you maybe finish telling the story that you were telling, and then also what goals and visions you'd like to see 2-3 years from now with the center?
Well, I think Nicole and Karen can also give some great examples of, I think people sometimes think social workers are great people and we do nice things, we've got sort of soft hearts and not very good business sense. And nothing could be further from the truth. Yes, we want to help people, and that's our main reason for being in the profession. But you either do it right or you do it wrong, and it winds up costing the taxpayer a lot more money. So I'll give a very quick example of this family, and I'm changing some of the demographics just to protect confidentiality. But it was a husband who was threatening to kill not only his wife, but his child, because it looked like the family was going to come apart, and he was feeling if he couldn't have them, nobody could. And the woman herself was in such shock that she was sort of minimizing and almost denying how much danger she was in, and yet other times she would be very acutely aware of it and talk about it. So there was about 4 organizations, our agency, Peel Children's Aid Society, I'm going to make this part up to protect it, but let's say a legal aid clinic and victim services were involved. Because there was 4 organizations working with her together, not in a badgering way, not in a hounding way, but in a loving, wraparound, supportive way, she was eventually able to break down and recognize how much danger she was in. Then that led to bringing the husband in. We found out that he had a serious mental health problem, was able to get him help, and would eventually get him to realize that he had, that it was not only in his wife's interest and his child's interest that he get help and he move out of the house temporarily while he's getting the help, but it was in his interest in the long term before he did something he regretted for the rest of his life. Everybody in that case felt that we prevented 2 murders, or at least one. If the woman had been murdered, then suddenly society, the Children's Aid Society, would have had his multi-needs child on their hands. A murder investigation in Ontario now, by the time you look at the police costs, the court costs, the Crown costs, about $1 million. Looking after a child with multiple handicaps is a multi-million-dollar problem over years. That's one case. There's all kinds of cases coming to us. And I'd like to turn it over to Karen and Nicole for their own examples.
Yeah, and I know that's certainly an emotional story to hear, but it's also a good story in the sense that work was done to prevent a potential crisis early, and you were able to intervene. And like you say, there's obviously the human component of a life being saved, but also the taxpayer component of the fact that we didn't have to deal with a court trial, we didn't have to deal with an investigation with police, we didn't have to deal with long-term prison sentence or taking care of a child potentially. But we were able to intervene, and the parties were able to work out their issues. I know, going back to the scam WOW video, we know anybody who's checked their email, especially their junk mail, there's probably about 10,000 messages that come from places like Nigeria where they're going to rescue a family member who's been lost, or here's a chance to win many millions of dollars. All you have to do is send all your credit information. And you did a great job, and we're going to see that in the next segment of showing some of those common scams, and also trying to have as many seniors as possible view it. But I'd imagine because of your budget, you're often limited to YouTube or the internet, and the common stereotype, of course, is not many seniors use the internet. So I guess the first question is, obviously, if your funding was tripled today, potentially you'd have the ability to reach out and have this video seen by much more potentially affected seniors.
Yeah, that is a great question, Daryl. And if we had unlimited funding, or at least double the funding, or even the same amount of funding, we could reach many more seniors out there. We know for a fact that anywhere between 14,000 and 15,000 seniors in Peel Region are living at risk of abuse. So having said that, we also know by the year 2025 that 1 out of every 5 residents in Peel Region will be a senior. And given the tough economic times we're in, they are going to be more susceptible to financial abuse as well as to other types of abuse that are out there. So if we had unlimited funding, we absolutely need to continue the public education and awareness that we do as a network, but we also need to look at these support services that we can provide seniors with. So these could be more coordinated in-home support services, which are really needed so that more seniors are not running to the hospitals if they are dealing with a situation and they have nowhere to turn. So we would be reducing the burden on the healthcare system if we are able to reach more seniors in their home with the right services that they need. We also need to look at expanding our hotline that we have in Peel Region, which is the Peel Elder Abuse Support Program. That is grossly underfunded, grossly understaffed, so having a little bit of money so that we could offer multilingual services, because we know we've got a large immigrant population of seniors from diverse backgrounds. So it's very important that we're able to get the messaging out to them in terms of where help is available in the region.
Yeah, thank you for that, and those are all crucial goals. I'm glad you also mentioned the aging population. A lot of people don't realize that Peel Region has the highest birth rate and the highest growth of seniors population in the country.
And the one shocking stat that I learned this week is within the next 20 years, the number of seniors that are 85 and older will be double, maybe not even double, but quadruple what we currently have right now. So that's a staggering number that we should all really keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nicole, we already know that despite the amount of case studies that you're forced to deal with, that compared to other children's aid societies in the province, you guys are underfunded per capita.
That's right.
But within a perfect world, let's say that funding was equal across the board and suddenly your funding was tripled, since right now you're at about a third the funding of the provincial average. What do you think that Peel Children's Aid Society might be able to do with more resources?
I think that the key to looking at what we would do would really involve a lot more prevention work. And like right now, just by virtue of our resources, admission prevention and early intervention, there isn't a whole lot of funding to pour into that area. And so what we end up being is very reactive. And so when a crisis happens with families and in the community and we get called, we now have to respond in a reactive manner. And I think, with more funding, it would allow us to certainly be more proactive in being able to reach out to families earlier, being able to do some of what you were talking about, Karen, around public education. We have recently started a new department called Community Engagement and Partnerships that I oversee, and that's just one step within the marginal funding that we receive, that we have really decided to courageously do a bit of focus on early intervention and prevention work, but that would be so much more if we were able to really have adequate funding. And I think the model of the Safe Center is just a start, because we would be able to partner with other agencies in such significant ways, because we recognize that child protection can't just come from us, that it is a community responsibility. And so with more funding, we would really be able to have better collaboration, better partnerships. We would be able to be a lot more innovative with how we provide service, a lot more creative, and really respond to the community and exactly how they're asking to receive service. And so a lot of times community members have stated that they're afraid of child welfare and they're intimidated by our services. And we certainly don't want to just be a policing, surveilling type of service. We want to be able to provide more holistic service, not just to children, but to their family. And so more funding would allow us to do that. And so we're hoping certainly that will change for us, and that our funding model will change to more population-based funding as opposed to what we receive now.
Yeah, and that's certainly what we're looking for as part of the Fair Share for Peel task force, is a model that's primarily based on population per capita funding, and obviously a model that factors in certain demographic characteristics such as those in Peel Region. Right now, the existing funding formula started in it's been a problem since 1980, when our population was at 470,000 people. Today, that's 1.3 million, second largest municipality if you consider Peel a municipality. Mississauga itself is about the same size as Ottawa, but receives far less urban support. But as I go to the break, and I've got about 3 minutes left here, I'd like to hear from sort of each of you guys. You guys are on the front lines, you're helping people. What's the most rewarding part of your job? I'll start with you, Nicole.
I would say that the most rewarding part is supporting our youth in care, and at all costs we try to prevent youth from coming into our care. We want to be able to support families and build capacity so that they can stay within their homes and within the community. But in the event that we really do have to take the measures of having a youth come into care, we really take pride in and honor that opportunity to support a young person in terms of being their primary caregiver. And so, seeing a youth really kind of come into their own and receive the goals and the achievements that they set out to achieve when they're with us is very rewarding, and seeing them enter into adulthood successfully. I think that's something that many of our workers and management staff, it always brings us to tears every time we do a award ceremony for scholarships or for our youth. And so I would say our youth is really the crux of what we do, and we're exceptionally proud of them.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear, and I'm glad that you're on the front lines and you're making a difference. And Karen, what would you say is the most rewarding part of your job?
Well, for me, when I'm out talking to seniors and senior groups, elder abuse, first of all, is a very hard topic to speak about, and a lot of seniors are hesitant, they're fearful, there's a certain stigma or shame associated with coming forward. And if I'm talking and a senior comes up to me afterwards and says, "Thank you, I didn't know that I could get help for this," or what you said today changed my life, now I know where to turn. And that says volumes to me. And when a little old lady will come up to me and give me a hug afterwards and say, "You know what? I've been dealing with this for years, and I didn't know that there's help out there for this, what I'm dealing with." Or, "I got scammed out of $20,000 and I didn't want to tell anyone because I was embarrassed." And now they're coming forward and sharing their stories. So that just speaks volumes to what we do, and that's my sense of personal satisfaction.
Yeah, and I think that's great. And Mark, I'm going to come back to you right after the break, but I do want to say that if you do have a senior that you think might be vulnerable to some of these scams, please bring them to the TV after the break, because we're going to show the Scams Wow video that I think will help them. Thank you, and welcome back to Act Now for Peel. We were just talking about services for families here in Peel Region, and of course the funding issue that we discuss every week. But as I was leaving for break, I was just asking the panel what the most rewarding part of their job is, being on the front lines. And Mark, I'll let you finish that thought quickly just before we launch this video.
Yeah, I think that in an agency like ours, we're often seeing people in crisis. We're often seeing people dealing with their families falling apart, or their relationships falling apart, or they're in depression, or they're being abused by their partner. It could be pretty depressing, except for one thing. We're changing people's lives positively. It's not like we have no ability to help people. People will help themselves, but they need help to be helped. And we can do that. We've got that expertise, and people can change their lives with a little bit of help. This happens every day at the Honorable William G. Davis Center for Families, and for that matter at our Mississauga location. And like woman abuse, for example, is a huge societal thing. People get really depressed about it. But this is the first generation that's actually tackled it seriously. It's going to get better. It's a generational thing. It's going to keep getting better. So I think when you look at your professional life in that way, You realize, sure, you're dealing with something that's horrible, but you're helping people to change it. And you're not only helping just people, but organizations are coming together and working together. We're going to really defeat this enemy. We're going to defeat women abuse.
Yeah.
And I should say domestic violence, because men can get abused too.
Yeah.
We're going to defeat domestic violence. We're going to defeat elder abuse. We're going to defeat child abuse and neglect. These things can be changed.
And thank you very much for that. And that is just probably the most rewarding part of the job for me is, first of all, learning about issues that I wasn't as aware of prior to learning about them, and certainly seeing a lot of the organizations right on the front lines that are doing real work to help people. And obviously it frustrates me, the funding issue, but at the same token, there is a positive story to be told. Now we're going to show a Scam Wow video, and this video is meant to educate seniors and really anybody on some of the potential scams out there. And maybe Karen, could you just say a couple of words about the video leading into it?
Sure. Well, the video was a result of a production between one of our PEEPN volunteers. He's a retired drama teacher. And so we decided to produce this video because of a senior that we came across when we were out presenting, and he was an 82-year-old man who had been scammed out of thousands of dollars, and he had replied to one of those pieces of mail that you get, and so he sent in a small check, and then he kept sending in another check with the promise that he would get more money in return, which never happened. And soon he was getting stacks of mail every week, which he then in turn was sending in to us. And we figured this would be a fabulous opportunity for us to do a little bit of public awareness on the various types of scams and fraud that are out there. So we produced this video in partnership with Rogers TV, and our retired drama teacher, Ken Stern, was the one that wrote and directed our little production. And so the idea behind it is to raise awareness on the most common types of scams that are out there. So having said that, we all know from our own personal experiences that the scams that are out there are getting more complex. They're getting more sophisticated, but we want to just raise the alarm bells that seniors are very vulnerable to this type of activity, and so that there is help available for them.
All right, thank you for that, Karen. And let's air the video now to make sure that we get it in before the show concludes.
Hi, my name is Paul Cuttajar with realestateforbabyboomers.com, an accredited senior agent. I'd like to introduce you to an organization called the Peel Elder Abuse Prevention Network, also known as PEEPN. PEEPN, together with Rogers, has produced a short video explaining scams that affect seniors. Maria Glidden and Karen Civil presented this video this week, and the title of the video is Scams Wow, a spoof from the ShamWow infomercial. Although humorous, it touches on several types of scams seniors and their families must be aware of. More information on PEEPN and the Senior Safety Line will be available after the video. Please be sure to comment or share your stories with us, because your stories could help others. Thank you very much.
Scams, wow, yes. I'm talking scams, cons, frauds, rip-offs. And do you know who the victim, the mark, the sucker is most likely these days? Well, it's seniors, don't you know? Why? Well, you're all sitting there with pots of money from a lifetime of hard work, right? Sometimes on your own, tend to trust people. Nothing wrong with that, eh? Except it's like you got a giant bullseye on your back that tells a scam artist just where to throw his next pitch. Let me give you a for instance. Good morning, ma'am. Listen, our trucks are in your neighborhood today, and I noticed that your driveway's in pretty rough shape. Now, it cost me money to go back to the yard with a half load, so I can actually do your driveway today for less than half of what you'd pay if you called me through head office. So what do you say? It's $1,200 for a job that I never do for less than $2,800, but the thing is, I gotta start today because my truck's already here. Oh yeah, all we're guaranteed unconditionally. All right, so all you need is a check, and we'll be starting in about an hour as soon as we finish up at your neighbor's place. All right, here's my card. Yeah, I'll wait right here for the check. No problem. The check, cashed within 10 minutes. The truck, what truck? And the telephone number on the card, out of service. Okay, I hear you. You'd never fall for that. Besides, you live in an apartment now. No driveway, no need for new windows or a new roof. No way. But what about this? Hello? Hello, is this the Duquesne residence? Perfect. And would you be Mr. Arthur Duquesne? Well, today is your lucky day, sir. My name is Simon, and I'm General Manager here at Lucky Travel Promotions, and I am pleased to inform you that you are the grand prize winner of a 12-day, all-inclusive luxury cruise to the Caribbean. Now, how does that sound? I know, you're speechless. Now, who would you like to accompany you on this trip of a lifetime? My deepest sympathies, Mr. Duquesne, but I'm sure she would have wanted you to experience this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Of course, your sister's more than welcome as your guest. You can give her information to my secretary when she phones tomorrow with all the little details. Now, the last thing we need to do to secure this amazing trip for you is to deal with the federal and excise taxes, which by law cannot be part of the prize structure. Now, the total for this is $3,688, and you can pay by Visa or MasterCard. Well, unfortunately, Mr. Duquesne, Lucky Travel Promotions requires me to get the taxes paid up front, or else I'm obliged to offer this trip to the runner-up. But when you think of the value of a 12-day all-inclusive cruise, I'm talking about entertainment, I'm talking about meals, I'm talking about Antigua, Martinique, St. Lucia. It's out of this world, believe me. Well, all right then. It's great to have you aboard, Mr. Duquesne. Now, could I just get that credit card number from you? Great. Who knew free could be so expensive? How does that saying go? If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. And here's the latest and my personal favorite scam. Check this out. Hello? Hello, Grandma? It's me. Your grandson, who do you think? Yeah, Alex. It's Alex. Listen, I'm in a bit of trouble. I can't talk long. I'm in a police station, Graham. No. It's nothing too bad. I just got in a car accident, but they may be charging me with careless driving, and they said unless I can pay for the damages, they're going to put me in jail. No, you can't call my parents. Please don't. You know, they'll totally freak. This has got to be, our secret, see? I just need a bit of cash so I can pay for the damages, and I got to pay for my lawyer so he can get me bailed out. Or, this cop, he said he's going to throw me in jail. I'm scared, Gran. I don't want to go to jail. I just need a bit of cash. $4,800 for the car and $500 for the bail. That's it. And I'll pay you back as soon as I can. I promise. You got to do this for me, Gran. Please? Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm just going to pass you to my lawyer, okay? He's just going to let you know how to wire me the money. Oh, you're saving my life. Thanks, Gran. What wouldn't we do for family? Even if they're not really family. Bottom line is, know the facts before you part with your cash, because there's a lot of fast-talking scammers out there that think that senior is just another word for sucker. See you next time.
How much time do I have? All right, and we're back after that video, and I hope that video did do something to alert seniors to some of the most common scams, and certainly these scams can also come in the mail and by email as well. But as we close, I'd like to give each organization an opportunity to let us know how to find them. So I'll start with you, Karen, since it was your video. If we want to learn more about these potential types of scams or the work that you're doing with elder abuse and seniors, how do we find you?
The number one place would be our website, which is www.ppin.ca. On our website, you can get access to our full membership, so all the organizations that are part of PPIN. You can get access to the Peel Elder Abuse Support Program numbers. So that is the hotline in Peel Region for reporting cases of elder abuse. You can also get access to the Senior Safety Line, which is the provincial hotline number. And yeah, for sure, that's the best way to reach us.
All right, thinking about a minute to go. Mark, what's the phone number that we can reach you
Okay.
at?
Well, first of all, I'll give the Safe Center of Peel, which is the collaborative, and their phone number is 905-450-4650. Their website is www.scopeel.org. And in Catholic Family Services Peel Dec10, the Brampton office is 905-450-1608. The Mississauga office is 905-897-1644. And our website is www.cfspd.com.
All right, Nicole, do you have a website or a phone number that we can reach Peel Children's Aid Society at?
Absolutely. All of our contact information is on our website, so you can just type in www.peelcas.org.
All right, thank you very much for that. And also anyone who wants to learn more about the statistics from the Fair Share for Peel Task Force and that related campaign, please follow us on Twitter at Fair Share Peel or www.actnowforpeel. We need more of this type of work being done in our community. Please write your MPPs and let's get a fair share for Peel Region.
Make up her total earnings, but I'm sure that everybody in Mississauga would say she certainly deserves it. And that is all the time that we have on this week's edition of First Local Week in Review. Thanks for joining us again tonight. From all of us here at Rogers TV, I'm Nadia Stewart. Thanks for watching and have a good night.